Gonna have a little chat through my ICS box here, all my different feeders and bits and bobs that I've got, because everything's got its place and there's a reason for using different types of feeders at different times. So first of all, I want to start on the method feeders. So I absolutely love a method feeder. It's my go-to feeder. Of course, I'm going to carry it in different weights. Generally speaking, 30 gram is your go-to size. It's a size that will hold nicely on the bottom. I tend to drop it down to like 20 gram if I'm chucking in open water and the bottom's quite soft and silty. That's the sort of thing that I look for. But we've added these to the range recently, the mini feeders, and that's absolutely been brilliant for me, because as great as this feeder is, when it cools down, I just don't want that amount of bait every cast. I want a smaller amount of bait. I want to cast regularly, and you can see everything is in proportion. So I'll tell you now, there's at least half as much bait on this as there is this feeder, probably even less. But you can see all the sizes are right, and it doesn't matter what stem you've got. You can basically interchange your stem on both those feeders. So if you had that stem on, you can just take it off and obviously put this feeder on at any time. So just same ICS system, which works brilliantly. And I always carry a few larges with me as well. Now, those that are eagle-eyed might have noticed that I've got a few of the original plastic ones with me. That's because I'm a bit cheeky. Cut the little bar out in the middle just to give myself a mini, like, open, I'm going to call it like an open style banjo-y type effect. Sometimes I just plug that middle bit with ground bait if I want a little bit more weight and I just want to chuck it a bit further. So that's what I've got in my box. I always carry a mould. I carry 2 moulds. I just couldn't be without a mould, so I have to carry two of the moulds. And the mini one's got a mould as well, look, so you can just, you know, mix it up. I've got all 3 moulds, got the large mould here as well. So for the methods, I wouldn't be without the moulds. Obviously, moving through, then a lot of people may ask, well, what about a banjo? Why carry a banjo if you've got a method? Well, for me, a banjo, the way you load a banjo and the presentation you get with a banjo is completely different. I like to try and load these quite flat. All right, so what I do is, if I scoop a little bit of ground bait in here, you'll see what I mean. So I actually like to load these and press the bait in it flat, so it's a completely contained package. That is completely different presentation to a method, because all that happens with this is effectively this all loosens and swells, and everything's here for almost like one perfect mouthful for a fish. When you fish with a method feeder, that bait spreads out, travels like in a bigger area once it breaks down, and that means that your bait sort of works over a little sort of an area like that, whereas with this, the bait is contained within the feeder, and it's great if you're in deeper water or if you're casting a little bit further. The extra protection given by this banjo style feeder is fantastic, because it just keeps everything nice and contained. So I wouldn't go fishing without taking both, because you don't know what you're going to be faced with. As a general rule, I would say anything over about 6 foot, I'd be thinking about using this feeder, or if I was casting in excess of probably 40 meters, I would probably use this feeder. So you can tell that's the main reason why I would use that over, say, a method. But if I'm casting to an island or somewhere shallow or a relatively close cast where I could be super accurate, it is always the method for me. Now, of course, you can get different forms of presentation as well with pellet feeders. So, excuse me, I always carry a few pellet feeders in there. Like, I feel this is a completely different form of presentation. Totally and utterly protected. My bait is protected within the pellet feeder, and I can keep my hook bait here. Again, I tend to use these when there's a lot of competition for fish. So if I was fishing on a venue where the fish are banging around and you get loads of indications but it just won't go round, that's when the pellet feeder can be brilliant, because it just offers that little bit of different presentation. Something very important there, of course. I carry a few ICM bits as well, which is the mini parts in there. So look, little mini bombs, mini feeders. It means I can put the mini pellet feeders on as well. It means I can put the mini method feeders on. There's all sorts of different bits if you really want to fish tiny bits. But for me, the ICM, one of my main uses for the ICM is the bombs. I absolutely love the mini bombs. I really think they're absolutely great. But so I always carry a few stems in there as well. So this is the box. Literally, I just carry one box like that for all my commercial feeder fishing, anywhere where I'm going to use that method or inline style, the box is all ready to go. Then I don't have to mess around. I don't pick a few out for any match. I've just basically got 3 of each one in a box like that, ready to go fishing.